And good afternoon, everybody, and welcome here as we get ready for knockout qualifying for our 10th race of the season of the NNSCRA Hersheys Cup Series. And we're getting ready to go road course racing. We're getting ready here for knockout qualifying at Gravity City Industrial Zone. Gravity City Nillicor. I don't even know where Nillicor is, to be honest, but this is actually a really cool racetrack, really cool road course, and so we're going to be racing here. Now, if you notice up on the top of your screen, you notice it says about 9 minutes 20 seconds remaining. We are only running until 3 minutes remaining. There's only 7 minutes actually on the clock for these drivers to lay down their lap times. The reason that we're putting it to 7 is because if we had it set to 5, this is a little over 2 miles long, and we wanted to give drivers the opportunity to be able to lay down at least 2 lap times, maybe 3, so that way they have a chance of making the show instead of, trying to scramble to even get 1 lap in. So once we reach 3 minutes remaining on the top of the screen, that is when we will freeze the field and we will find out who's transferring into the main event from this heat, and then we'll have the same thing for the second heat. But now it's time to find out what Lucky Penny decides is going to be the drivers to transfer from Heat 1 and Heat 2. And let's see what the penny has to say. The penny lands on heads. And so there will be 4 drivers that will transfer from this first heat. 3 drivers will transfer from the second heat. And we are looking here at John Andrews, who will now be on the clock as he crosses the start-finish line. So we'll see what his first lap time will be. And looks like he's going to, well, let's see. He got out with about 2 minutes on the clock. So he'll be able to lay down at least 2 laps before the session comes to a close. Don't know if anybody else came out right behind him or not. Just up ahead there is, I believe that was the rookie Andrew Davis. So I would say that it takes roughly about 2.5 minutes to probably get around this racetrack. So if you figure that in, with roughly just about, you could say, a little less than 5 minutes left, drivers are going to be able to only put in maybe 2 laps. If they wait about another minute, they'll only be able to put in 1 lap in this session, whereas John Andrews, I'm pretty sure he's going to be very safe in being able to lay down at least 2 lap times, maybe even a third before time runs out. Mobile one, wow, TBT. The Almond Joy series, they'll be going road course racing, but they've gone over internationally to Russia. That's where you're going to be seeing them go road course racing. The name of the track escapes my memory right at the moment. I almost said it. I think it's something like Eula, if I remember correctly, but you'll see it when we get there. It's another really good road course. And I'll tell you what, I did some testing at both of those racetracks, and really looking forward to both road course races, as John Andrews' first official lap time laid down is a 1:32.615. And I mean, we ended up having Eldora debut in the Hersheys Cup Series for the Midsummer Classic a few weeks ago, and that was an unbelievable race. And these road courses debuting here, it's should be interesting. And as we are about 20 seconds away from 3 minutes remaining, and looks like the lap time of John Andrews was beaten by Garrett Sidner in the 08. So Sidner now top of the leaderboard. Remember, 4 drivers transfer. Jump back here. Got some drivers that are just now coming through that section of the course. And it looks like, yeah, for the most part, it looks like most of these guys are just now on their first time laps. A couple of drivers just crossed the line, including Morty Studemeyer Jr., also Jordan Lopez, Joshua Osborne. Right now, they are in the top 4. Colin Denton wasn't fast enough to get into the top 4. Neither was Chris Dollerton or Matthew Dalley. Jeremy Jones just missing out. And now they're starting to work their way through, and, well, looks like someone just jumped to the top of the leaderboard. That was the 4 of Daniel Gilbert. Right there in this group. Well, he might have been able to get a little bit of a draft lap there with Nick Johnson, Natalia Salinas just ahead of him. And Matt McIntyre, just a couple cars ahead, has now jumped up into the top 4 as well. So now Amaury Studemeyer Jr. is on the bubble zone. with about 2 minutes remaining in this session. John Andrews, who was the first car off, on the outside looking in, and now Kermika Jazin jumps up to 4th. So now Jazin is in, Studemeyer is out. Maybe Sidner, Gilbert, McIntyre, and Jazin, and for 2 of those drivers, they would be making their Hersheys Cup Series, well, for one, his Hersheys Cup Series debut, for another, his first start since Season 1, and that would be Matt McIntyre, who we're looking at. McIntyre raced as a non-chartered ride back in Season 1, sat out Season 2, returned for Season 3, and now he's on the bubble spot as Kev Shearer has jumped up to 3rd place with 1 minute remaining. 1 minute to go. Top 4 transfer into the main event. Matt McIntyre, can he beat his own lap of 1:31? Yes, he can. He now jumps up to 3rd, moves Kev Shearer down to 4th. So right now, Garrett Sidner with a 1:31.0 is in the best position. Looks like he is very safely going to make the main event. Daniel Gilbert, 1:31.4. Matt McIntyre, 1:31.6. And Kev Shearer, 1:31.7. 2/10 over the 5th highest running, Amaury Studemeyer. Mitchell Carter, Kermika Jazin, Jordan Lopez, all close but not quite there. 10 seconds remaining. Can anybody in the last 5 seconds get there? That's the 3-minute mark, and that's going to do it. We freeze the field, and the session is complete, and that is going to do it. And the 4 drivers that will transfer into the main event for this road course race will be Garrett Sidner, Daniel Gilbert, Matt McIntyre, and Kev Shearer will make his 2nd start of the season, as I believe the same for Garrett Sidner in Hersheys Cup Series competition. Just missing out, Kermika Jazin ended up cutting his lap time down, actually, by about 1/10, but it wasn't good enough to be able to beat the 1:31.7 laid down by Kev Shearer. Also missing out on Amaury Studemeyer Jr., Mitchell Carter, Jordan Lopez, Colin Denton, Joshua Osborne, all the way on down to Salinas, Davis, and Alonso. So they'll have to try again next week. But the 4 that transfer from this one, Sidner, Gilbert, McIntyre, and Shearer, we'll see them in the Hersheys Cup Series main event here at this racetrack, as we're about to find out who's going to be joining them as well from heat number 2. 3 drivers will transfer from there. So let's get ready to find out who those 3 drivers will be. Coverage of dual, or heat number 2, I should say, is coming up right after this. Alright, so as we get set here, 7 minutes on the clock, and 3 drivers will transfer here from heat number 2. We saw the 17 of John Andrews go off the onto the racetrack very early in Heat 1, but he didn't even finish inside the top 10 for speeds. So it makes you wonder if maybe waiting is not a bad decision. I believe Garrett Sidner turned at least 2 laps, maybe a third, but I think he turned only 2 laps in the last heat, and was able to run that 1:31.0. As we're looking at the rookie Sean Henley, who ironically enough made his Hersheys Cup Series debut a few weeks ago at our first road course stop of Infineon. And so Sean Henley obviously showing that he's very comfortable at road courses, and who knows, maybe we'll see him transfer into the main event of the Hersheys Cup Series race at our second road course stop here at Gravity City. Just behind him, coming off pit road, was Jonathan Zorlin. Now Zorlin is trying to make his Hersheys Cup Series debut. He's yet to make a race so far this season. And one of his teammates in Kev Shearer has already transferred into the main event from Heat 1, so maybe Kev Shearer gave Zorlin some tips on how to get around this racetrack, so Zorlin can maybe make his first start of the season. It's not exactly been a terrible season for Strigley Motorsports. They've already got one victory from Emmanuel Hartnett's win at Eldora in the Midsummer Classic, and it looks like now Henley and Zorlin are on their first timed laps. See if anybody else is currently on the racetrack, and looks like Ryan George is just coming off pit road there. Here comes Pichu London in the 87. Now he's on the clock for Fire Ice Racing. Fire Ice Racing only one full-time chartered ride, that being the 93 of Zach Flickinger, who actually is up there in the point stands doing pretty well, but still looking for that victory. And Zach Flickinger has 2 wins in the past 2 seasons. Both of them came at road courses. His first win in Season 1 ended up happening at Lime Rock, and in Season 2 it was Yas Marinas Circuit. So 2 seasons, 2 wins, or 1 win apiece I should say, but 2 total wins, both wins, at road courses. So we'll have to see if maybe he might be one of the favorites coming into this Hersheys Cup Series race. We're going to jump back up to Sean Henley, who's just about to complete the first timed lap of this session. We've seen cars run in the 131s to 132s. Let's see which side of the spectrum Sean Henley will be on as he'll hit the stripe. And the official first lap time by the number 57 is a 133.011. About maybe 5 1,000ths better was Jonathan Zorlin. Pichu London's been able to run right there behind, I think that's Johnny Gardner. He may have a better lap time. 132.094, and that actually was not Gardner. That actually is Chelsea Bowles in the 097. So London now top of the leaderboard. Daniel Olson just ran a 133.368. And James Qualls just jumped up to second place. John Citadino up to third. There's a couple of teammates there. Tripin Tachiovernio, who I believe raced last week. Yes, he did. He raced at Talladega. And right behind him, rookie teammate John Bunnell. Both these drivers, if memory serves me correctly, also took part in the Midsummer Classic at Eldora. DJ Curtis made his debut in the Hersheys Cup Series last week at Talladega, running right between James Qualls and John Citadino. As things stand right now and the field is shuffling around here, it would be Jay Jefferson, top of the leaderboard. And Jefferson is one of the few drivers in this field who has yet to make his rookie debut in the Hersheys Cup Series. Let's find that 41. There he is. Battling right now with Lyndon Wright, who is also in a transfer position, currently situated third on the scoring charts. Hasn't made a start since the Great American Race Daytona 500, but Jay Jefferson, his teammate Ryan George, ended up making his rookie debut as soon as race 1 at the 500. Jefferson, though, has yet to get into a main event and make his rookie debut. Right now, he's in a good spot. He's run a 132.0, and as soon as I say that, now he falls out of the top 3. As James Qualls jumps top of the leaderboard, Haywood up to second, and John Bunnell up to third. And there's only about a minute remaining in this session. Qualls a 131.9. That could get him into the main event. That was a pretty good lap time there for the 70. We're going to have to see here if battling with Lyndon Wright, if that's hurt both him and Jay Jefferson's opportunity of making the race. They're about to come down and complete the lap time. Let's see if either the 41 or the 81 jump up into the top 3. And yes, they do. Lyndon Wright, top of the leaderboard. Jefferson to second. Qualls now down to third. The only 3 cars that have run 131 lap times with 30 seconds remaining. Now Qualls on the bubble spot, 131.970. Is that enough to hold? Right now, Lyndon Wright en route to making his second start of the season. Jay Jefferson en route to making his rookie debut. With 10 seconds to go, Can anybody do anything in the closing seconds of this session? 3, 2, 1, freeze it. That is it. And Lyndon Wright will be making his second start of the season. Jay Jefferson will make his rookie debut. And James Qualls just barely hangs on for the final transfer position. Wow, that got very interesting there at the end. And we saw a number of drivers hit the 131s in the first heat. Not as much here in the second heat. Only 3 drivers hit the 131s. Those are the 3 drivers that will be transferring into the main event. Just missing out, Jason Haywood, John Bunnell, DJ Curtis, Pichu London, Johnny Gardner, Isaac Canepa, and Cole Deaver, all the way down to Zachary Stultz, McLeod, Duncan, and Hagan. We saw Sean Henley was the first car off pit road. Jonathan Zorland's second car off pit road. They were 18th and 14th in speeds, respectively. Gotta wonder if maybe a little bit of draft might have come into play on some of the straightaways of this road course, but as a result, we now have our 7 drivers that will take part in this week's main event at Gravity City Industrial Zone. Should be a very interesting race. Hope you'll tune in for that. We've also got the Almond Joy Series having their road course race, and that will be at, I believe it's called Yula, in Russia. And that'll be coming up next, and then we'll have our main event, Hersheys Cup Series race number 10 here at Gravity City Industrial Zone. So hope you'll tune in for those events. Those are coming up next here on the NNSCRA Sports Channel, offline racing at its best.